Hello and welcome to another Europa Universalis 5 video where I have a look at a couple of countries that the devs have decided are good enough to showcase a bit of flavor for. This time we of course have in the background, as you can see, the Kingdom of Serbia, and also, because we're getting double barrel flavors nowadays, we're also going to get a little bit of the Kingdom of Georgia. Now I think Serbia especially is going to be a very, very popular nation to play. I think it's going to be a really good for to start playing the game. When we were in the content creator early access period, we were recommended a few countries to basically learn the ropes and get to learn the game. Hungary, Naples, Aragon were all among those, and Serbia as well was pointed out as a really good like beginner nation. Right, you're not super weak. You have expansion opportunities. You have a lot of stuff going on for you, and yeah, so Serbia very good for starting out and playing the game. But before we get into the flavor, this 22nd Tinto flavor, I just want to ask if you wouldn't be so kind as to subscribe to the channel and join the 44% of people who have already done so. It helps me out. I make videos on this game every few days. And you get to stay informed about the game that we're all incredibly hyped about. But with all that out of the way, and all that said and done, and without further ados, and all of the other, things to say, let's have a look at the Tinto flavor for the 27th of May, 2025. Happy Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays. I mean, we're getting 3 a week. It's wild. But we're looking at 2 Orthodox countries in advance of tomorrow's Tinto Talks. The Tinto Talks tomorrow being, of course, about 40 minutes old as of when I'm recording this. And it is about, of course, the Orthodox religion. So that's also going to be very, very interesting. So, Serbia. It encompasses fertile lowlands and plains in the north, crisscrossed by the mighty Danube and Sava rivers. In the south, the landscape transforms into rugged, forested terrain and eventually the towering Dinaric Alps. The realm emerged as a significant regional power under the Nemanjic. I apologize if I'm pronouncing this incorrectly. Nemanjic Serbian followers, if you can help me out on that one. Founded by Stefan Nemanja in the 12th century, this royal lineage laid the foundations for a unified Serbian state, began to solidify its Christian Orthodox identity, and sought to establish ecclesiastical autonomy. The effort culminated in 1219 when the Serbian Orthodox Church gained independence. Under the rule of Stefan I Crowned, Serbia's territorial expansion accelerated, and the acquisition of coastal regions on the Adriatic Sea secured access to maritime trade and introduced Western influences. Stefan's son, King Radislav, promoted the country's cultural development, fostering education and art, and monasteries like Studenica and Zicha, I assume I pronounced that perfectly, flourished, housing prestigious religious manuscripts and frescoes. Despite the many recent advancements, Serbia now faces external pressures and internal divisions. The Mongol invasion in the 13th century inflicted significant damage, and conflict within the ruling Nemanjic family, particularly between King Stefan Uroš II Milutin Nemanjic and his brother King Stefan Dragutin Nemanjic, further weakening the state's unity. Now, the strong rule of Stefan Uroš IV Dušan Nemanjic, these names are getting longer and longer as we keep going, appears as an opportunity to change the tides of history. So we have here Stefan Uroš IV Dušan. Stefan Dušan is a name that I have heard quite a lot. I believe this guy is also the ruler of Serbia in 1356. I mean, he's 25 here. It's on 20 years, and he's the guy that's in charge of Serbia in Mayo and taxes for EU4. So I have heard a lot about this guy. Was he crowned as like Stefan the Great at some point? I don't know. But with these stats, I would assume as much. Pretty famous figure in Serbian history, and I will point out that as a famous figure in Serbian history, this guy almost certainly has a portrait of him that Serbians who are not a fan of the 3D portrait model system that EU5 has will probably have issues with. Also, it's using like the Emperor crown from CK3, it looks like, which is I don't know, it feels out of place, but it probably isn't. Either way. They have a population of 1.1 million. Obviously, they are Orthodox Permaculture Serbian. They have a 250,000 Bulgars. They got some Albanians in there, Valakians, the Aromanians. They're making an appearance as well. Mostly Orthodox, but they have a little bit of Bogomalisms, Catholics, Kyrgyzstani. I think it's the Albanian church, and then they also have 131 Jews in there as well. Kingdom of Serbia's starting panel here, giving a bunch of information. Prizren is their capital. 71 locate. No, I think this is urban locations, so towns and cities. Tax base of 12 ducats. Manpower, not manpower. I think this is like soldier pops, and this could be, or actually might be manpower. They might be big enough to start with. I forget the name of the building, but it can only be built in the capital and gives a little bit of manpower. I think that might be what we're seeing here, is they have that building. It's not the arsenal. It's not... I think it begins with an S. I can't remember. I apologize for that. I think it begins with an S. I'm just putting that out there. Anyway, here's Serbia. And, of course, we have now got the new height map model. And I think Serbia actually looks really good here with the new height map. I think anywhere that has mountainous terrain is going to look really, really good nowadays with the new height map model. So I think this looks fantastic. It's one of the best regions that they showed off so far. Mostly because there's not as much long, flat, uninterrupted plains, which is where the game currently looks the least good, in my opinion. But yeah, Serbia here absolutely looking gorgeous and fantastic, and really, really showcasing the strengths of the terrain map model, terrain map model stuff thing. Blah blah. Looks great. I like it. Anyway, starting privileges. We have a bunch of names that I'm gonna absolutely butcher. So my Serbs, I apologize, but we're gonna try it anyway. We have the Vlastele Kraješnik. Borderlands must be safely guarded at all times. To that end, the system of Krajini splits our frontiers into well-administered districts under the command of local lords who are known as Vlastele Kraješnik, in charge of maintaining and protecting the people of their province. It's a noble privilege, giving negative 5% max control, but you're getting plus 15% for defense. I think this might be worth it under certain circumstances. If you're in danger, if, say, Hungary is looking mighty strong, say the Ottomans have really, done numbers and become the big winner in Anatolia, start coming into Europe, this might be exactly what you would want. And 5% control, obviously you don't want to give up 5% control, but a bit of fort defense, I mean, it works. If it works, it works. We have the Jupa, I assume, districts. The compartmentalization and division of our society is detailed in the various legal frameworks that surround our administrative branch. The most important aspect of our society and bureaucracy is the division of our provinces into Jupa districts, aimed at the better handling of local affairs. Another noble privilege, I should say. 40% extra power for them, and they get monthly progress to defensive. Defensive, I think, is still better than offensive, but giving them this much power is painful. We have the Bashtina grants, maximum tax for noble estate minus 10%, and then progress to decentralization. System of land grants for our elites is inspired by the Byzantine system of pronoias. It entails a grand array of privileges and obligations on behalf of their domains when it comes to administering the lands leased to them by the government. Now, I want to say, these are the ones that they start with, so I honestly think these two I would probably try and remove. Even though I like defensive, giving them more power, not great. This one, I definitely would try and get rid of as well, because I quite like centralization. But that's just me. Decentralization totally works for some countries. But yeah, I would try and remove these. But interesting that they're starting estate privileges, they're all nobles. They don't have any starting privileges for the clergy. Unless they do, and we're just not seeing them. We have some works of art here. We have the Zika masterpiece. We have the Pridgepolje, the White Angel. We have the Codex Marianus as well in masterpiece. Very cool indeed. There are some unique advances for the Serbians, or I guess they're just gonna... Are they showing us more than one? They are. Some unique advances for the Serbians. We have the Home of the Hussars, giving 10% extra cavalry power. And then the Serbian Hussars arrived is not how I remember the song going, but either way. Although, like cavalry formations as a concept were an old Roman idea, the first Balkan Hussars, or Gusars, corsairs or pirates, as they were known, appeared as auxiliary units of the Byzantine Empire, recruited mainly from Byzantine-held Serbia in the 10th and 11th century. Even after the Byzantine power dwindled, this tradition remained and was further refined in the following centuries. And we have here the Serbian Hussars stats. I really wish they would say this is the difference between them and others, but they don't. It's kind of nasty. I want more information. I don't want to have to like compare to find it. Anyway, we have Keepers of the Gate in the Age of Discovery, giving minus 20% fortification maintenance. Awesome modifier. Stacking fortification maintenance modifiers has always been pretty good. You can spend a lot of money on forts if you are particularly paranoid, let's say. Serbia's rugged terrain has birthed a formidable network of defenses, epitomized by the imposing Smederevo fortress. These enduring fortifications safeguard our nation, making invasion a daunting prospect. From the sprawling mountain ranges to the strategic river valleys, Serbia's defensive systems stand as a testament to our resilience and indomitable spirit. We have the Balkan Hajduks in the Age of Absolutism, giving 10% extra army morale. Obviously, morale of armies is obviously a good modifier. You're going to want it. Unlike their northern counterparts in Hungary, Hajduks in Serbia and neighbouring Balkan lands have earned a more infamous reputation. These men lived the hard life of brigands, always in danger, always on the move. However, during wars, these experienced tough men often filled the ranks of Serbian armies, providing excellent, if a bit undisciplined, infantry. Fair enough. We also have Serbian Enlightenment in the Age of Revolutions, giving a bit more cultural influence. Inspired by other Enlightenment nations, national heroes such as Dositej Obradović, probably nailed that, they have sought to elevate our vernacular language and literature. Touched by the dearth of secular works accessible to the common folk, Dositej Obradović has taken the lead in bridging the gap between written and spoken Serbian. By diligently crafting grammars and dictionaries, authoring tomes, and translating foreign works, our nation is fostering a literary revival thanks to the works of these visionaries. Obviously, there are a bunch of events as well for Serbia. The dreams of Stefan Uroš Dusan Nemanjić. Many leaders have fashioned themselves as the continuation of Rome. Imperial dreams clad in royal purple and the site of legendary conquests serve as a major appeal to neighbouring Christian domains. However, unlike other false claimants, Stefan Uroš Dusan Nemanjić has the making of a legendary figure. Under his steady hand, we will set forth and take what is rightfully ours. So this is an event you get right at the start of the game, and it gives you claims on Central Macedonia and Upper Macedonia. And if you manage to do it during the life of your first king, you become an empire and gain the ability to proclaim your own autocephalous patriarch, which is something that we will both learn about tomorrow in the Orthodox Dev Diary, and also we know that Georgia, which we'll learn about if we scroll down a bit, also has their own autocephalous patriarch. So very cool. Oh yeah, you also get claims on Chalcidice. If I quickly open up back the map, that's like, it's the bit going down to Chalcidice. I mean, it's goes without saying. There's no more zoomed out map that I can see, unfortunately, without going to find it. But essentially, bringing your borders from here down to the coastline in Greece. But yeah, that's what you get right at the start of the game. And if you're wanting to see how a Serbian campaign goes, both Leif and Red Hawk both did Serbia as their early access video, so you can go and check out their channels. They have some Serbian gameplay on there. Gold found in Lecce. A prospecting band of Transylvanian German miners have been walking across the mountains near Globojica I probably butchered, near the settlement of Lecce. They claim to have found hints of the presence of gold under the surface. Of course, in order to get to the precious ore, we have to build a proper mining structure that will cost money. The investment is high, but the returns can make it incredibly profitable, as they expect it to be the biggest gold deposit in our realm. This is another one of the events that basically change the trade good in a location. Change the RGO, let's say. Not trade good, that's an EU4 thing. There are a bunch of these that we've learned of. Obviously, Sweden has one for silver that we learned about a little while ago. And I imagine this is probably how the Colombian exchange is probably going to be handled, where we'll get an event and then a bunch of RGOs will just change. Or maybe we'll get multiple events, and it's like, oh, do we want to have some more, like if you're in the Americas, do you want to have horses here? Do you want to replace whatever we have with horses? And then, events for each RGO change might be the way to go. We have the Monastery of Manasia. In the heart of our nation, there exists a heavenly ravine that has grabbed the attention of our king. During the many walks in the area that would lead to the planning of a monastery, the King Stefan dreamed of it serving as a mausoleum in his death. However, as time went by, planning got more and more ambitious, envisioning not only a simple monastery that would house a few monks and nuns, but one surrounded by strong walls to defend itself in case of an attack. Should the plan go ahead, the church of the monastery will be devoted to the Holy Trinity that has protected our nation for so long. Cool. But not all are positive. Upon the death of Stefan, the disaster might also happen. The curse of Serbia. Damn. Dire times are upon us. The curse of King Stefan has gripped our nation. Our courtiers and advisors speak of the end of an era and the plunging of our great country into a dark period. So you're getting negative legitimacy, nationalist, and pretender rebel growth there. Either you need to be not an empire. I guess this might be your heir having 250 total abilities. So that is all of your stats added together. Being higher than 30 stab is relatively easy. 75 legitimacy, relatively easy. That shouldn't be too difficult. None disputes the greatness and grandeur surrounding the legend of King Stefan. Raised with the most excellent education, adept at court etiquette, and an accomplished commander, King Stefan led our great nation to new heights. However, as royal intrigues go, his legacy was built on suffering, murder, and skullduggery. The prime skull on his ascension was that of his father, King Stefan Uroš III, whose dying breath cursed his line with decay and fall. The superstitious voices across our court whisper that the visage of the old king has returned, marking the beginning of our end. So, that is Serbia. I think that's going to be a nation that a lot of people play. I know that when playing EU4, Serbia was a very popular nation. There are, I guess, when it comes to non-English speaking nations, Serbia punches above its weight when it comes to, population who play EU4 versus total population. Serbia always seemed to be, quite high on that. So a lot of Serbian fans of the game are sure to be enjoying a bit of Serbia. But now let us have a look at Georgia, up against the Caucasus Mountains, and with quite a few worries to their south. So let's see. We have King Georgie V the Brilliant Bagratoni. Also really, really good stats. Georgian people are proud and with a long history, for their ancestors were already living at the foot of the Caucasus before the old empires of ancient antiquity were formed. They were among the first to embrace Christianity, and they made it their flag and identity. Even after the expansion of Islam and being surrounded by heathen nations, they held their faith and became a bulwark of Christianity in the midst of the connection between East and West. Not even the Mongol hordes of Chinggis Khan managed to fully subjugate its people, for the Georgian people rose again in defiance once the Mongol threat waned. Having been united once before under a great kingdom, the Georgian people have the potential to achieve great heights once again. The country has its greatest splendor during the rule of King David the Builder Bagratoni and Queen Tamar the Great Bagratoni. Now, after having been divided, the kingdom of Georgia is once again united under the authority of King Georgie the Brilliant, after His Majesty conquered Western Georgia and asserted his rule over all the Georgian territory. Even Armenia bows now to the power of Georgia. Although it's still technically subject to the Ilkhanan, it in itself is an empty husk, with no one actually able to lead it. Under these circumstances, how could Georgia not rise again, greater than ever before? True. Facts, actually. Obviously, they are Orthodox, 437,000 Georgians. They also have some Mingrelians, Abkhazians, Armenians, and Svan, and a bunch more. As you can see, the scroll bar is only halfway up. Majority of the country is Orthodox, but there is also some Miaphysites, Kabbalism, no idea what that is, Judaism, and also some Sunnis in the country. They also start with 5 vassals as well. 43 urban locations, 39 tax base, 7,500 manpower, no sailors. Tbilisi, I've never known how to pronounce that. It's their capital today, but Tbilisi, I think, is their capital. Very cool indeed. And as I said, they have a bunch of vassals. Don't know who that is, but they also have Shaki, Armenia, Alastani, and Samsk. Nailed it. Georgia starts with this unique policy, the regulations of the royal court, giving them army tradition decay minus 0.1%, some yearly legitimacy, and monthly progress to aristocracy. Series of documents donating the main functions of our government, from the ceremonies and etiquettes around coronations and the daily activities of the crown, to the duties and maintenance of the army under our commander-in-chief. This framework serves as a robust basis for our government and the Privy Council known as Savaziro. They also have the Office of the Eristavi. It's a policy in the distribution of power law, giving them extra levy size. Prime promotion cost modifier. This is a modifier we have not seen in any of the Tinto talks yet. What I believe this is when you have your cabinet members doing their various jobs, you're able to promote one of them to being the head of the cabinet, and that costs some money. It costs the same amount of money as it costs to basically put the guy there in the first place. So if you're spending 50 gold on making this guy, the cabinet member, then you are going to be spending that much money again to make him, promote him to the head of the cabinet, unless you have this modifier, which makes that, cheaper by 33%. Very cool. Also gives you agenda impact for nobility plus 20%. This is really, really good. Essentially, if the nobles ask you to, improve relations with a country because they have, some dealings going on there, and you do that, you're going to get 20% extra of your parliament backing chance, which it can be very, very handy indeed. One of the most influential cornerstones of our administration, the title of Eristavi is granted to powerful noble families and allows them undisputed command to recruit and lead armies under their banner. At the same time, holders of this office enjoy a dominant opinion in the internal affairs. As for advances, we have the legacy of St. George giving 10% extra infantry power. In EU4, this would be known as infantry combat ability. Our association with the legendary St. George is well known through both the Christian and Muslim worlds. As he bravely faced and slew the fearsome dragon, so will our soldiers face our enemies in battle. We have the Bagratoni dynasty, giving yearly legitimacy, a dynasty so old that its origins are shrouded in mystery. Kings and queens of the Bagratoni house have ruled Georgia ever since the 9th century, first as princes and then as monarchs. We have the Georgian Golden Age and the Age of Renaissance, giving cultural influence. Georgia enjoyed a cultural and religious golden age that was brought to a sudden stop due to the invasions of the Mongols. That period gave us the best example of cultural achievements of our nation, and now we will relive it and even achieve greater heights. Relieve it? I think this is supposed to be relive it. We will revive it? I don't know. This I don't think this is the correct word. Anyway, we also have the Georgian resilience in the Age of Revolutions, giving stability investment. Our country has seen itself torn apart, both by external and internal influences, more than once in its long history. However, like a rising phoenix, it has kept coming back from the ashes and establishing itself as a presence to reckon with. The resilience of our people is commendable. We also have a bunch of events, as you would expect, including the Mongol expulsion. It's been 10 years since we took up arms against the heads of the Ilkhanan and ousted tens of thousands of Mongol troops from our lands. Rife with corruption and committing raids and abuses against our people, the foreign horse lords collaborated closely with Georgian nobility to keep our folk on a short leash. King Georgi, using the death of Chobanid Kupan as pretext, crushed our shackles, demanded the evacuation of foreign troops from within our borders, and massacred those among the nobility that he thought to be turncoats or influential. Today marks the 10th anniversary of this event, and some celebrations are in order. Well, If this can get you to remove some noble privileges, get you to reduce the power of the nobility, that seems like a really good event, because it seems like that's kind of the way that you want to bring your country, is anti-nobility, pro-burger, is just what I've seen from playing. We also have the Mint of Elegir. Coin is the language of power and influence. As we expand our domain and establish footholds further east, the necessity for coin to maintain forts and armies grows. A new deposit of valuable metal has been located in Ganja, and with it, a series of plans by our advisors to further develop this great find and maximize the extraction. And this seems like another one of the events that will change an RGO in your location, which is always nice to see. We have Georgi Sarkadze. Prominent individual, has been frequently at the mouths of many of the members of court as of recent. Member of a minor unlanded nobility family from Gori, Georgi has already made a name for himself for his military achievements, having since very early dedicated himself to the pursuit of that career. Having such talent around would undoubtedly improve our military capabilities, and his ardent tactics are sure to become useful in our conflicts to come. So we don't know what these options do, but I'm sure they will be something good. Tomorrow I will make a video about the Orthodox and Miaphysite religion mechanics. That's going to be a lot of fun, I think. We also have a few comments to share as well. Colors of the countries' borders are a bit too strong. They look radioactive. I mean, this is probably what he's talking about here, I would imagine. It's because the blend overlord color setting, and they're taking the map coloring of its overlord Naples. Actually, no, this is the one he's talking about here. It shouldn't be. I feel like you should be talking about this one, because isn't Samshtkitke Georgia's vassal? So shouldn't he be taking the border color from Georgia? I don't know. It feels like maybe there's some map shenanigery going on. Either way. Does Serbia have a localized name for the parliament? It is called Sabor. Could you please show us Georgian localization of the estates? They don't have some yet. So if you know of, I mean, this guy is a professional Georgia stan. See, he's a professional Georgian. So if he has some localization suggestions, and as well, if you do, then you should leave them in the comments of this forum thread. There's a link, obviously, to every forum thread that I do a video on. There is links to it, so you can see that in the description. But the parliament for the Georgians is called Darbazi. Are there events dealing with the Serbs after the medieval period? One about the great Serbian migrations that significantly impacted the ethnic picture of the region, or about the great Serbian revolts later in the game. So there is, of course, some late-game historical content, like this one, the father of modern Serbian literature, Dositej Obradović, which was then added to the main post. We've read that already. And then finally, will Armenia have any flavor too? Yes, there is a set of advances for the countries of Armenian culture, such as the legacy of Haik. Haik, I'm pretty sure, is like the ruler of your country in Imperial Rome. The Haik dynasty, if I'm not mistaken. But Haik, a descendant of Noah, became the patriarch of our nation when he founded our kingdom at the base of Mount Ararat after defeating the Babylonians. All our people know the story and are proud to belong to such an ancient lineage. We have the Melikdom organization, giving some tax efficiency, actually pretty decent amount of tax efficiency. One of the few bastions of an independent Armenian state, Armenia is governed by feudal suzerains called Meliks, as the old Nakhara system collapsed after Mongol invasions. The relationship between Meliks and their subordinates is that of a military commanding officer and junior officer, and not a feudal lord and serf. And we also have the Nakharar titles, giving some more army tradition. Its system of titles has been in continuous use in Armenia almost since its inception, and remained unchanged until the times of Mongol invasions, when the whole system itself collapsed. Although the titles themselves are no longer in use, certain characteristics of the system persist still, enhancing the abilities of our nobles and armies. Very cool indeed. So that is your Serbia and your Georgia. And yeah, I would like to know in the comment section below, let me know, which of these two countries are you planning on playing first? Obviously, you know, you're going to be playing the Romans first. That just goes without saying. Or, but no, they're a little bit too hard as your first tag for sure. But of these two tags, which one are you interested in playing? I think they're both going to have very intriguing and interesting ways to play. I think Serbia, again, it is a tag that is going to suit people just starting the game, and at least in the build that we played, they are a little bit too easy, in my opinion. I think Georgia might be a little bit more challenging, especially as you obviously start in the Ilkhanate IO, and breaking out of that, it will be a challenge, right? You got some challenges there ahead of you. Get rid of the Mongol interlopers and go from there. But I think both countries are going to be a lot of fun to play. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I will see you tomorrow for a bit of Tinto talking about the Orthodox and Miaphysite, and I believe also Nestorian religions. I will see you then. Bye-bye.